Welcome back to the Geopol, your source for in-depth analysis on global geopolitics. I'm your host, and today we're diving into the recent developments within the BRICS alliance, which has expanded this year to include new members: Saudi Arabia, Egypt, the United Arab Emirates, Iran, and Ethiopia. We are going to discuss the implications of this on the backdrop of global conflict. But first, let's address the urgent situation in the Middle East. Israel's recent bombings in Palestine have sparked international outcry and escalated tensions in the region. With Iran issuing threats of retaliation against Israel's hostilities, the situation has become increasingly volatile, with the potential for wider conflict looming. Against this backdrop of heightened tensions, the inclusion of Saudi Arabia, Egypt, the United Arab Emirates, Iran, and Ethiopia into the BRICS alliance adds a new dimension to the geopolitical landscape. These additions not only reflect shifting power dynamics in the Middle East and Africa, but also raise significant questions about the future direction of BRICS and its role in addressing regional conflicts, with a more clear example being how South Africa, a long-standing member of BRICS, essentially lead the world in responding beyond rhetoric to the plight of the people of Palestine by taking Israel to the International Court of Justice and winning against Israel. This sparked a wave of countries taking Israel to different courts in an attempt to put a stop to its hostilities, which many have labeled as outright genocide. The inclusion of Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, two key players in the Gulf region, underscores BRICS's expanding influence beyond its traditional boundaries, as these two are members, in particular, have a high appetite for investments and trade. Meanwhile, Iran's membership brings a complex dynamic, given its ongoing rivalry with Israel and the broader implications for regional stability. It remains the second most militarily engaged member, second only to Russia, which is engaged in an active confrontation with Ukraine. This also paints an uneasy picture of BRICS being an anti-West grouping, which is of course not true, as most of the BRICS members have active, healthy relations with much of the West, both in trade and diplomacy. However, it is worth acknowledging the high number of member states who are seen as competitors by the West. Within BRICS, going forward, this will become a challenge, as BRICS will have to actively disprove these false claims by positioning BRICS as a trade-first grouping, with its large focus being on mutual economic development of its member states. With Ethiopia representing the Horn of Africa and Egypt holding strategic importance in the Nile Basin, the addition of these countries further diversifies the BRICS alliance, potentially amplifying its impact on regional issues ranging from water security to economic development. However, there is no shortage of conflict in the African region. As such, BRICS might find itself having to indirectly address conflict in the region, given how susceptible this region is to conflict. Its proximity to the Middle East and one of the largest trade routes in the world puts it in an uncomfortable situation where strategic balance of power needs to be kept, not to mention the growing internal conflicts, the instability in Sudan, Libya, and the Sahel region, which poses a serious geopolitical threat to the region's growth. So as BRICS welcomes these new members, it faces the challenge of reconciling divergent interests and navigating existing conflicts. The recent hostilities between Israel and Palestine serve as a stark reminder of the urgent need for diplomatic efforts to de-escalate tensions and prevent further bloodshed. As Iran threatens retaliation against Israel, the international community watches closely, aware of the potential for conflict to spiral out of control. Against this backdrop, the role of BRICS as a platform for dialogue and cooperation takes on added significance, offering a potential avenue for resolving disputes and promoting regional stability. With members like South Africa, China, and Brazil have both shown great initiative in spearheading global diplomacy. BRICS has a solid foundation to launch its global diplomacy, though India and Iran, of all members, seem to have a more unpredictable approach in their diplomatic efforts, overall BRICS with all its members is well positioned to have a bigger voice in de-escalating global conflicts. In conclusion, the inclusion of Saudi Arabia, Egypt, the United Arab Emirates, Iran, and Ethiopia within BRICS marks a significant development in the global geopolitical landscape. As these new members navigate their roles within the alliance, their actions and decisions will have far-reaching implications for regional stability and international relations as a whole. That's it for today's episode of the Geopole. Stay tuned for more insightful discussions on global affairs, and remember to stay informed.